I think the Munster-Leinster fixture could probably do with a bit more niggle than it has at the moment, I think. Because it is a great fixture, and there isn't many great fixtures in the Pro 12, Pro 14 at the moment.
What do you think of that?
Should I say this or not? I don't know if Dave Carney would agree with him that he thinks there should be more nickel or not. Yeah, it's all. You know what? In parts, I do agree with that. I think the feistiness of that fixture. It was your favourite game of the year.
If you compare 2017 to 2009, they're worlds apart. I feel.
Yeah, they are.
And in that sense, he's
right.
It's
good in a way that there isn't so much competitiveness between the two, because then they have to go and be teammates. I think, because there is.
They went and won a Grand Slam that year.
But something is driven between you a bit in those games, and certain players are able to let it go, and when they come back together, and other players harbour it a little bit more. But I loved those years of niggle because it was niggle because it was such a great win to beat them, and it was so hard to come by, and that's why you wanted to put absolutely everything into it, because you knew you needed to get an effective result. And if you could beat Munster in a season, the confidence that would give you for the rest of your season was huge.
Because the level of both teams was so high at that point. They were, at that stage, 2-time winners, and you guys were about to become winners of the Heineken Cup. So the level was incredibly high. You wonder if it needs that bit of niggle to get it back to the level where everybody goes, okay, we are doing that, and we are two of the best teams in Europe. Because they're pretty close to being two of the best teams in Europe. But do they believe that they're two of the best teams in Europe? I'm not sure.
I think Leinster definitely do. I think Munster still feel as though they're playing second fiddle to the team of the 2000s.
Yeah.
And they are.
And so under those circumstances, wouldn't you go out and try and kill Leinster to go, we're just, you know what I mean? It's like a proper staging post along the way.
But you need that in the vast majority of your pack. You differentiate the two packs, and Flannery, even Hayes, he wasn't a dirty player, but he was so physical. Maybe not as much Marcus, but he had a nasty streak at times.
Yeah.
The two second rows and Paulie and Dunners, Leamy, Animal, Axel, Animal.
Wallace,
Wally,
Quinney.
and Quinney.
Yeah.
Like all of them were dogs. You look at that back row. Tommy O'Donnell, not a dog, nice footballer. Pete a dog. Stander has a bit of dog in him for sure. The two second rows, not to the same effect of Paulie and Dunners, no way. The front row, Kilcoyne, John Ryan, Niall Scannell, not to the same degree. So I think you have to have it in the beast first of all, and that has to be in your makeup.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's there. I don't think you're looking at. I don't think these players are the same sort of personalities from an aggressive point of view as you did have with that old Munster pack, and as a result, they have modified their game slightly. I don't think they solely rely on that physical aspect being their game and being the foundations to build everything on.
It's clearly an evolution in terms of the playing style, and obviously that's a good thing too, but you would just be a little bit concerned that they've gone a bit too far away from having the dog as well. Like you need a combination of, okay, the game has changed. Like O'Connell was talking about how even his game when Rob Penny was there were times when he would pass the ball in midfield and it would be like, that wasn't my normal game, but I was doing it 3 or 4 times, and actually, I wish I'd done more of that. So you can see how everything changes and everything moves on, and you can't just be a team of dogs anymore. But like, if Munster are going to be a team who reaches the semi-finals with a chance of winning the European Cup every year for the next 4 or 5 years, then they need to be able to scratch out wins against Leinster in the Aviva when Leinster have more of the ball.
Yeah, but
Or to find a way to do it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the scoreline flattered Munster.
Yeah,
it did.
So they were
besides
much further
the late
behind.
try. I think Leinster created way more. Peter O'Mahony said it himself in the post match. He just felt like he was constantly exiting. Now this is with the post match after the Reggie conversation.
Yeah.
Where it didn't feel as though they had any chance of getting momentum in the game because they were constantly in their own half.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just as easy as more niggle or anything. I think you have to look at the setup. And I don't want to be disparaging to this Munster team because they still got to a semi-final, but you're not dealing with the same caliber of players as you had 10 years ago.
Circumstances are different
That is,
as well,
but
aren't
that's the simple facts of it, and
there
you
was
can
an
spin it every way you want.
in some ways. I remember when these two provinces would have met each other. It wasn't always the week before round one of the European Champions Cup or the European Cup as it was, and no matter how much of a rivalry there might be between Leinster and Munster, the fact is this weekend's game was of far more importance to Munster and Leinster, the Montpellier and Castres games, than the game at the Aviva Stadium last weekend. Like, if you're going to choose which one to lose, it's no contest.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And like, if it was a really important game, would you have Blendell playing in midfield?
But you don't get to pick, is the thing. Like, you don't get to pick, I'm going to cough up that game. And like,
well, in some ways, Erasmus did pick.
Clearly prioritising, I understand that, but the team has to find a level and it needs to find form, and it's hard to do that 2 weeks out.
Yeah, but he didn't pick, Dave. He didn't pick a team to lose. He picked a team that he still thought could be effective and going.
Did he
and
pick
give
the
them
best
trouble.
15 in their best 15 positions?
I don't think he knows it at the
him?
moment. I don't know if he knows. By playing Blendell, I have to say, using Jaco Tote is a disaster for them. I think he has been a brilliant signing for them. He. Besides everything that he's bought into, their setup and their culture, what he offers them, they've always been very effective when one of their centres have been a huge ball-carrying centre.
Yeah. Trevor
Trevor Halstead, even Rua Tupoki, even though he was a small guy in stature, carried super hard. Henderson before that.
Yeah.
So you look at that calibre of player, they've always done well. Jean de Villiers didn't have his greatest time ever, but again, a brilliantly physical player that could get you over the advantage line. They need that because they like to get their forwards into the game around the corner. You need target players. Yeah. So I think having Jaco Tote, and I do like Farrell. I think he's a good player and he gives them a bit of that dimension, but not to the same degree as Tote. So mixing it up and trying to find a new competition or a new centre combination of Farrell and Bladenthal, is that what they're going to play next week in Europe? I could never see it.
Yeah. So I guess we're trying to work out where Munster are, and like the point about the niggle is really just it's a conversation starter in terms of the level of intensity that fixture didn't have, which I think in a roundabout way was what Reggie was trying to ask Peter O'Mahony.
They don't have the history too, though. You've got to have history to create niggle. So that that semi-final in 06, like that hurt us so badly. And then, it hurt them hugely in 09. That's around that time. And even going back to the Celtic League win in 2001, where we won with 14 men, that's what created it. And then we had a chip on our shoulder because they were getting to semi-finals and finals the whole time and we couldn't manage to get beyond the semi-finals. Yeah. So we were building this, hatred, for want of another word, of one another. Envy is probably a better term because we were definitely envious of them probably less so of us. But this was building. And then because we managed to pick one off over the course of that 7-8 year period at different times throughout the season, it added to the fixture for the following season.
It does feel like it's not pointless that niggle that's absent, that it actually does drive both teams forward as well.
Totally does. I think it is an effective component of that game. Yeah,
and,
I don't.
And that's why we need.
I don't see it as a negative.
Yeah.
I don't. But you have to. You can't just formalize it out of thin air. It has to build. It has to grow organically itself through experience of winning and losing and winning and losing and being envious of someone else's success.
In a weird way, right? It's not the same point, but people have been kind of talking down the league, right? It's the league, right? And it's the thing that you want your fans to come and see week in, week out. You sell way more tickets to your Pro 14 matches than you ever do to the matches in Europe because there's way more of them. And until Leinster and Munster are kind of meeting in semi-finals and finals, and there's trophy on the line for it. I don't know. It just feels like the Pro 14 needs this fixture, and the two teams need to take it a bit more seriously. In a way, it all kind of feeds in, for me, to the fact that the competition, the Pro 14, isn't respected enough by everybody. You kind of need to.
Your season's still about Europe. It is.
So is it wrong to have it the week before the first European game?
Pardon?
Should it be elsewhere in the calendar if we really want this game to become
because I
something
think it's
a bit
a good
more,
one to get you physically prepared.
But only if you're picking your best team. But if it's a dry run for the European game, fair enough. So these guys can get up to full tilt. But if there's 7 or 8 changes made on each team,
Zebo
that dilutes it big time.
Zebo will come in. Scannell will come in.
7 or 8 maybe is an exaggeration.
But I don't think there's
I just
that
wonder how
many
it been 2
changes
weeks
to
ago
that
or,
Munster
or a
team.
month from now. Like it's the same issue with the Interpros around Christmas time.
But they're
with
doing a
the
much
player
better-
welfare
different.
system.
That's
Yeah.
different.
So many of the
because
top names are missing.
That's different because for that exact reason, and that is Christmas period. As a player, you know that your entertainment at Christmas. You don't have a Christmas like everyone else, and you as a professional player, football or otherwise, in sport, you buy into that. In racing too, that is your bit, the business end, or one component of the business end of your season. And I think it is wrong that those players get taken out of the big fixtures.
Yeah.
By the IRFU or whoever, by the player management system, because people do want the best games over that period. So I think they should definitely look on that. You don't want to dilute that fixture in any way.